Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Music Minutes with Mrs. Cash. We'll jump into today's lesson on piano basics in a minute, but first, did you know music students learn self-discipline and develop higher standards in their work? Students who master voice or an instrument learn important lessons about discipline. To be really great at an instrument, you have to plan practice time every day, whether you're working on fundamentals or exploring a new piece of music. This requires a great deal of self-discipline. This habit of practice promotes craftsmanship. Musicians strive to create great work instead of mediocre work. You can apply the care and discipline you learn from becoming a musician to other parts of your life. Go music! Here we go with today's lesson about some keyboard basics. We've learned about the notes and how they tell us how long to make the noise and where to play or sing that noise. But what does that actually sound like? Let's take a look at the piano and explore that just a little bit more. As you can see, the piano is made of black keys and white keys. The black keys are separated into chunks of 2 black keys and 3 black keys. Do you see how there is a pattern? It goes 2 black keys, 3 black keys, 2, 3, 2, 3, all the way up the piano, except down at the very end, there's just one because it doesn't have the rest of its mates down there because of where the keyboard stops. Anyway, it's important that you can see the difference between the sets of 2 and the sets of 3 black keys. Remember that pattern. Now, how does that help me do anything on the keyboard? Well, as we know, the musical alphabet is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it repeats over and over again. So these notes are only A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they have to repeat. How do we figure out where they are on the piano? A good piano player trick is to memorize where the note C is. And we do that by remembering those patterns of black keys, 2 black keys, and 3 black keys. Find yourself a set of 2 black keys. Any set of 2 black keys will do for now. Find those 2 black keys, and the white key that's to the left of the 2 black keys is the note C. 2 black keys to the left is a C. So that's a C. How many C's are there on a standard piano? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here's the tricky one, 8. The very top key on a piano is a C as well. So that's how we find where C is. Now, Ms. Cash, you might be saying, great, now what do I do? Remember that musical alphabet. What comes after C in the musical alphabet? D, E, F, G. Then we start over again. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. Up or down. Here's my C again, 2 black keys. C is the white key to the left. To the left. Going backwards in the musical alphabet. What comes before C? B. Before B in the musical alphabet, A. Flip around to the end of the musical alphabet, G, F, E, D, C, etc. all the way down. Now you're noticing that I'm not playing any of the black keys right now. We'll learn about those in a few weeks. They still have the same letter names as the white keys, but they've got like a middle name to go with them. And we'll talk about that later. For now, I want you to remember how the musical alphabet. For now, let's just concentrate on how that musical alphabet fits on the keyboard. 2 black a C. There's our C. We apply the musical alphabet. D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now, one more thing before we take a break. I want to talk to you about solfege. You know how we do our solfege singing, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That fits right on our keyboard. It fits and goes right up the musical alphabet with our keyboard. We like to start solfege. Well, we can start solfege on any note, but for us, we're going to start it on C. So we're going to find that C again. So C would be our do, D would be re, E would be mi, F would be fa, G, so, A, la, B, T, and C again, do. When we first learned that solfege, I talked about how the first note and the last note sounded kind of the same. That's why they're the same symbol. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Quick intro to how to find the notes on the piano and how that musical alphabet fits and how solfege fits on the piano. I think it's time for a little break. All right, everybody, it's time for a little bit of movement for today. But before we start that, have you ever thought about how music affects your mood? Different kinds of music can make you want to get up and run or go to sleep or clean the house. Today we're going to do a little bit of yoga for movement. So we probably should have something kind of relaxing, maybe like this. And wouldn't it be awesome if we could do yoga somewhere beautiful outside? Maybe something like this? What do you think? More relaxed now? Awesome. Let's try a couple simple yoga poses. We're going to start with mountain pose. It's just your feet kind of shoulder width apart. Keep your knees a little soft and your hands are just flat, straight at your sides. You're like a strong mountain. Make sure your shoulders are rolled back slightly and you're standing nice and tall. While we're there, we're going to do a couple shoulder rolls. Because I don't know about you, but I carry a lot of tension and tightness in my neck and my shoulders. So a couple shoulder rolls. Listen to that music. Try to relax. Just let your hands dangle for a minute. All right, the next pose we're going to do is called the crescent moon pose. We keep this mountain pose. We just lift our hands above our head, put our palms together above our head. And then I want you to gently bend. See how we're kind of making a crescent moon shape? So you feel a little stretch in your side. Bring it back up. Take your moon to the other side. Remember to breathe. Bring it back up. Let's go back down to mountain pose. Roll those shoulders a little bit. The next pose we're going to do is called warrior pose. Who doesn't want to be a strong outlaw warrior? I want you to take one foot, either left or right, it doesn't matter. Put it behind you and angle your foot just a little bit, the back foot. Keep your front foot forward. Your knees are still a little soft. Then I want you to raise your hands, palms together to the sky, and look up at the sky. Breathe while you're up there. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Again, in and out. And bring your hands back down. Now we're going to do a second type of warrior pose. I want you to keep that same stance. You're going to put one arm in front of you and one arm behind you, and I want you to lean forward and keep your gaze, keep your eyeballs forward, but lean forward into that knee. Keep your torso nice and strong and lifted, and breathe. In for 4. And out. Bring that back up. And let's move that to the other side. Quick mountain pose in between. Put your other foot back. Warrior, leaning forward. Your arms are parallel to the floor. Your body, your upper body stays nice and tall. You're making the movement happen with your knee. It's kind of like a lunge, but with an arm pose. All right, let's bring it back to mountain pose. And a couple more crescent moons. And we'll get back to class. One way for a stretch. Back up to center. Other side for a stretch. Back up. Down to mountain pose. Let's end with a couple shoulder rolls. And while we're out here enjoying this beautiful environment, let's stop the music and do a little solfege. I'd rather do it out here in nature than in the classroom, wouldn't you? Here we go. Here's your do. Do. Let's try it together. You remember solfege? We'll go up and down 3 times, and then we'll go back to the classroom. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Back down. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Let's try it again. I'm going to give you a different note to start on do this time. Do, there's our do, sing do, do, together. And do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. One more, let's pick a fresh do. Let's go a little lower this time. Do, and do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Good job. Nothing like a little solfege out in nature.
What do you call a cow that can play a musical instrument? A musician.
Musician. These just keep getting cornier and cornier. Let's head back to the keyboard and learn a little bit about how we make our fingers play this thing. We've learned where the notes are. 2 black keys, C, fit our musical alphabet. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Cool, Miss Cash. Now I can tell you what the notes are on the piano, but I've seen people play the piano like just with one finger, or we all learned how to play. So I can play that song, so I must be a piano player, right, Miss Cash? Yeah, not quite. To play the piano properly, you have to know which fingers to use where, because in the long run, it'll help you when you learn to play more difficult music. So, we each have our blessed, so, not so. Most of us are blessed to have 2 hands and 5 fingers on each of those hands. And that's what we use to play the piano. Each of those 5 fingers on your left hand and your right hand. Remember, treble clef is mostly the notes we'll play in the right hand, the higher notes on the piano. Here's the first thing we need to learn. I've got 5 fingers. Finger number 1, this gets confusing to some kids, because if I say, what's finger number 1, you're going to want to hold up your pointy finger. That is not finger number 1. Finger number 1 is actually your thumbs. And finger number 1 is the same on both your left hand and your right hand. So your thumbs are 1, pointy fingers are 2, middle fingers are 3, Ring fingers are 4 and your pinky is number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're going to play a little game. Get your hands in the air, and I want you to wiggle the fingers that I tell you to wiggle. You're going to find that it's difficult to wiggle some of them. Your ring finger and your pinky finger kind of want to work together. And same with your middle finger and your ring finger. So it's good practice to do this before you start playing the piano, to get those fingers strengthened so they can actually work independently. All right, you ready? We'll start easy. Ones, wiggle your ones. Wiggle your twos. Wiggle your threes. Wiggle your fours. Wiggle your fives. Wiggle your threes. Wiggle your fives. Wiggle your ones. Wiggle your fours. Wiggle your twos. Wiggle your fives. Let's go a little faster. 1, 3, 4, 1, 5, 3, 2, 1. You can play that game by yourself. If you tell yourself which fingers to move, it's a little easier. Or you can ask a parent or a brother or sister to call out numbers and you can practice. Work on getting those fingers strong and knowing which one's which without having to think too much about it. Let's see how we take those finger numbers and move them down to the keyboard. Remember those sets of 2 black keys and 3 black keys. Where's that C again? Piano players like the note C. It's kind of where they learn to base everything off of. So here's those 2 black keys. To the left is a C. Now, there's something on the piano you may have heard of. Now, there is something on the piano you may have heard of called middle C. You may have heard people call it, you may have heard friends who play the piano talk about middle C all the time. Where's middle C? Middle C is basically in the middle of the piano. We start with the lowest C. It's actually the 4th C on the piano. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. On this keyboard, you can see it's right in the middle. If you have a regular piano at home that has the name of a manufacturer on it, that middle C is usually kind of right under the sticker that has the name on it. It's the 4th C out of 8 on the piano, so it's in the middle. Now, what does that look like, Miss Cash, you might say? This week, earlier in class, we learned a little bit about ledger lines. So middle C is the C that hung out right underneath the staff. And it's a line note with the line going, one ledger line going right through its ears. We had E at the bottom of the staff, and then D would come before E if there were that fake space there. And then we have to draw a ledger line to put middle C on. So that's middle C, that's this note. Do you hear what it sounds like? It's kind of cool to actually put all that together. Here's what we know what it looks like. It's the note right under the staff with one ledger line. We know how long we play it. If we say it's a whole note, it would be 4 beats. And here's what it would sound like for 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you put all those pieces together, you're now playing music. Let's take the hands to the piano. There are 2 positions, hand positions, we're going to talk about based off of those C's. Your thumbs and the note C are going to be good friends, and your pinkies later on too. But we're going to start with the hand position that's called middle C hand position. And what you want to do is your thumbs are going to be buddies, and they hang out right over the top of middle C. They're going to share it. When we start to play the keyboard, and when we're in the classroom, we'll work on this a little more. You need to think about how you're holding your hands. Do you see how my fingers are curved a little bit? They're not super flat. If they were super flat, it would be really difficult to use my thumbs. So for your hand position, you need to have a nice, relaxed, but sort of straight wrist, and keep your hand sort of curved, like you had one of those yummy little oranges kind of just hanging out underneath of it. Keep your fingers really relaxed. I like to sometimes teach beginning piano players with a Dracula keyboard and a zombie hand, because zombies are super relaxed, right? Dracula puts his cape over his nose, but then your zombie hand is here. So you can practice your fingers there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back down on the piano. It's that C hand position. Both thumbs are on C. And then just explore it a little bit. What does it sound like, Ms. Cash? So I can play C with finger 1, which is my thumb, D with finger 2, which is my pointy finger, E with finger 3, my middle finger, F with finger 4, my ring finger, and G with my pinky, finger 5. So now I can look at the keyboard and either think I'm playing C, D, E, F, G, or you could play it by finger numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have a real keyboard at home, a piano or any kind of keyboard, or you have one on the internet where you can plunk it, practice playing and singing along with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or C, D, E, F, G, or even Do, Re, Mi, Fa, So. Lots of ways you can explore that. With my left hand, same thing, right on that middle C, and it's going to go down from there. C, B, A, G, F. You can try practicing them together. They sound kind of funny. They sound pretty good for a while. That's a little weird. And back down. This is a good finger strengthening exercise, just to go up and down, keeping your fingers relaxed. Now, one thing you'll see in beginning piano players is they start to carry lots of tension in their fingers. So you'll see either them curling up, or sometimes, here's one that happens a lot. You want to end up pointing at the person across from you or next to you because you're carrying so much tension. If you keep your hands tight and are so afraid you're going to play the wrong note, you actually can hurt yourself because you're tensing all those muscles up. So if you feel yourself doing that, shake them out, keep your shoulders relaxed. Middle C hand position, both thumbs on middle C, fingers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more hand position for today. This is called C hand position. This one's a little trickier because it's comfortable for our brain and our eyeballs to see our thumbs together. In C hand position, instead of having both thumbs hanging out like buddies on C, your left hand picks itself up, takes finger number 5, your pinky, and moves it all the way down to the C below middle C. Here's the tricky thing here. If you play those together, your left hand is playing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, while your right hand's playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's kind of a brain trick. I'd practice those separately. Back down. If that got comfortable, then you could practice them together. Now, when I say practice, you can do this on a real keyboard, a piano, if you want, on a paper keyboard, or you could just imagine it and do it on the top of the table. Whatever you have in front of you, practice some fingering in C position and middle C position. It's been fun hanging out with you today. See you next time. Until then, here's an inspirational quote. Bye-bye for now.
I can't bear the thought of a day without music.